everybody. I think this is streaming, but it's going to be choppy until YouTube fixes it. So it may not be enough for a live show. You'll see it after. But my name is Rob Reed of Asklawyers.com. A little sloppy today because it's the second week of summer, but my son is in a baseball clinic camp and I have to pick him up early. So what a perfect day before I have to pick him up from camp to do another show of AskLawyers.com. AskLawyers.com is a website where you can go to one-stop shop for you to go there and enter your legal query and have it sent to many attorneys at one time, and hopefully somebody will give you a call back within like 24 to 48 hours. It's an interesting system that I designed some nearly 2 decades ago and decided, you know what, I'm going to put some focus into it because I know that it's great, has a lot of great potential, and I haven't done enough to work on it. If you're an attorney you'd like to join, I'm going to be changing the business format of it pretty soon, where it'll probably be like an annual fee, but there will be a free method where you'll get notice of new inquiries probably 24 hours after they happen. And if you're a paid member, which should be relatively cheap, I think $100 or less, I haven't figured out what that business model is going to be, then you will get it immediately. So I'll work that out. There might be an issue of your ability to be exclusively in it for certain locations. Haven't decided that yet. If you have your suggestions, you can let me know or email me at rob@asklawyers.com. This will be a hopefully weekly situation where I will take calls on California law. If you call me related to a legal question that involves another state or an area of practice that I don't know, we'll find somebody for you and may have that person be a guest on the next show and answer your question, hopefully. So, that being said, let's start with the subject of hand for today. I practice personal injury. Auto accidents are certainly the number one aspect of the personal injury law, I would say. Most cases involve traffic accidents. And so you've come here and you're looking for a list of things to do in the event that there's an accident. I've already put a list of things that off the top of my head were things that I would like to know when you come into my office. And I'm sure another personal injury attorney would like to know. Now, the first thing you want to do when you get in an auto accident in California is you want to make sure that you stop. Now, that's going to happen in most cases, but you don't want to keep moving because if you keep moving, you don't exchange information, you don't make sure that everybody's okay. It's a hit and run. It's a potential problem for you criminally, so besides the problems that you'll have civilly. So you want to make sure you stop, and you want to be prepared to exchange information. So like if you get pulled over by a police officer, you want to make sure that you have your license, and you want to make sure you have your registration and proof of insurance. Obviously, if you're so hurt that you can't get out of the car, you got to do what you got to do. The second thing I put on here is do not discuss the details of the accident with the other party or admit liability. Certainly, for one, you might get into a fight, and that's not what this is about. But for two, if you think that you're at fault for something, and you may not be. For instance, you were going through on a yellow light, and a person makes a left turn in front of you, and you think, wow, if I didn't go a little bit faster in that yellow light, then maybe the accident would have been avoided. In that case, the person making a left turn, in most cases, more likely than not, the left turn is held to a higher standard. They have to make sure it's absolutely clear before they proceed into their left turn. There's a presumption against them. So that's a perfect example of if you start talking about liability before you talk to an attorney, it can never be good for you, is the short answer to that. Talking with somebody like a normal human being, are you okay? Wow, it's horrible that this happened. Just say what's your name, get the information. So we'll talk about that next. If liability is potentially in dispute, like there's a left-hand turn, or in any case where you think you might be at fault, but or that you're not at fault, but there might be, both sides are fighting a little bit. It's not a bad idea to contact the police, call the police and wait for them to show up. Sometimes people don't have time to do that, particularly if it's a fender bender. But in instances where there's a he said, she said, or he said, she said, she said, Without a police report, it's very difficult to prove your case. And if you're making the case, you were injured, for instance, you have a personal injury case, the burden of proof is on you. And so if you don't have the assistance of a police report, that could hurt you. Police report and the police opinion in and of itself is not dispositive of who's at fault in the accident, because police generally are not experts in accident reconstruction. That's a whole different ball of wax, but it's certainly to your benefit with all the facts laid out perfectly. And it's not so bad if the officer who's, let's say he's a 20-year officer, seen a lot of accidents, it's not so bad if he does side with you. It's certainly better than if he doesn't in a police report. And if he does side with you, the insurance adjuster is more likely to go, okay, yeah, I think that this is my insured's fault. You want to take photographs of not only your vehicle, which you could do later, but if it's towed, you obviously want to make sure to do it at the scene, but especially of all other vehicles that are involved. And that's because in small property damage cases, the defense the defense insurance company has a solid defense to say that the accident wasn't substantial enough to justify an injury. Now, let's say you are in a big, massive truck and you get hit by a Prius, and that Prius just gets bashed because they rear-ended you and it's just nasty. But your massive truck, you can't see it. It just dinged it a little bit. But it really was a big collision that caused you to jerk. And you go to the doctor and it says that you have like whiplash. And you didn't take photos of the Prius that got smashed. You only took you took photos of your truck that looks like it may not have even been in an accident. Insurance loves that situation because they'll say, well, your property damage was so small from these photos, it doesn't seem to justify the injury. If you can go, oh yeah, well here's your insurance, and they're not necessarily going to volunteer that information. But if you have it, it's like you give it to somebody like me, an attorney, I'll be like, oh, okay, I can see it'd be easier for me to take the case to go, oh, this is definitely severe accident, justifies your injury, but I wouldn't be able to tell that by looking at your massive truck. So that's important. And it used to be that we'd say, well, have a disposable camera. We were so excited as personal injury attorneys some 20 years ago when those came out to go, yeah, sweet. You have one of those in your car and make sure to take photos, get them developed at the 1 hour photo, and we're good to go. Now everybody has a phone with your cell phone, so there's really no excuse. You got to make sure to do that. But people generally just take pictures of their car. Make sure you do your car and other cars around. If there exchange information, if there are witnesses around, I didn't put this in the list, but if there are witnesses around, you want to make sure to get their information for sure. And that's a part of the exchanging information. You want to get the driver's name, insurance information. You don't need that from witnesses, but you need that from the people that are involved in your accident. You want to get their addresses, the phone numbers, who's the owner of the vehicle, because the owners are on the hook for any liability as well. Whether, and this is important, whether the driver of the other car that you feel is responsible was working at the time of the accident. Because if the person, if it's a severe accident, let's say they have a minimum policy of $15,000, which is what it is in California, and you have like a broken arm, if they're working at the time, not only can you sue the driver, but you can sue their employer because they were working at the time of the accident. And that's a deeper pocket potentially if there's a minimum policy. And obviously go to the emergency room if necessary. The longer it takes, if you are hurt, the longer it takes for you to go to a medical facility to get treatment gives the defense an opportunity to say, well, you really weren't hurt, particularly if you wait until you get into an attorney and they say, you went to an attorney and the attorney sent you to one of his canned chiropractors or something. And I always like cases where I don't give insurance companies an easy defense if we can prevent it, and that's definitely an easy defense. So if you are injured in the accident too, finally, make sure to get a free consult with a personal injury attorney immediately. The sooner the better. And again, say as little as possible because you're not going to prove your case at the scene. You're only potentially going to cause problems, and if anything, the only thing that you can do in your case is hurt it by saying stuff. The more you say to a police officer, you want to explain what happened as best as you can, certainly. But to the other party, you want to say, I'm at fault, I'm sorry, whatever. If the other party says to you at the scene, On the other hand, they say, I'm sorry, that's good news for you. They'll probably say the same thing to the insurance company, but it doesn't always work out that way. So that's the sum and substance of what to do if you're in an auto accident in California. Like I said, I didn't put the information on witnesses. You want to make sure to do that. And that was in my haste to get this done. You can certainly call me at 818-783-7998, my phone number below, or email me at rob@asklawyers.com. My office is in Sherman Oaks, California. Be glad to come out to you, meet at a mutually convenient place. Been practicing for about 20 years. More than that, actually, now that I think about it, almost 23. So we're going to use some of the extra time to load up Skype in case somebody wants to call. Sorry. The phone number to call is 818-527-4955, and I will take your call live on the air. And we may not get any today because I don't think I have anybody in the queue. But if a call does come in, we'll use it, see what happens. Let's see, going to email, because I had an email question and I told somebody that I would answer it. It's somewhat legal. It deals with music. I also practice music law. This person's question, though, does not rise to the level, I guess, of a true legal question. But let's see. Ask Lawyers, request, direct mail. That's it. I got this question from somebody. I don't think she's in California, but I can answer this because it deals with music law, copyright, publishing things that are very general. I'm also a songwriter. Her quick question: Is there any entity that I'm missing when it comes to registering live performance venues that will give payout as well, or is it strictly the promoters and the manager that handle all of that? Well, it's kind of a convoluted question. What I would say simply for you, Kristen, is that you make sure you're registered with one of the performing rights organizations, and the two biggies are ASCAP and BMI. I'm a member of ASCAP. They cover live performances. You want to make sure that your manager and promoter have gotten assurances, and maybe in a contract, maybe at least in an email, an assurance that they report that they are have gotten a license from ASCAP or BMI or some other place for that they will pay royalties for their public performance in their facility of your music. A lot of times in the modern era, though, unfortunately, if there's pay to play, these places may not hire you again if you're sticklers for public performance royalties. They feel like, look, you had an opportunity to come in, you had an opportunity to play. We didn't have to say that you could play, so we'll never call you again to join us, or we'll never say yes. So that's a business decision you have to decide. And as a young artist, if that's what you are, Kristen, it's very tough for you to be able to be that demanding just yet. So hope that answers your question. Just make sure you're registered with ASCAP, BMI someplace, and have your promoter or manager make sure that that place is affiliated with ASCAP, has a license, or BMI, one of the others. And that's the way that you can assure that you get paid. So that covers this for now. We've been on for nearly 15 minutes, and I will again reiterate what asklawyers.com is. It's a website, one-stop shop for you to go to, enter your legal query in the box, make sure you put the proper locations, and it will automatically send to attorneys that are in our database the question, and hopefully you'll get an answer sooner than later to help you. It's not a free legal advice website, much like I'm doing right now. It's free legal advice if you call, as best as I can according to California law. But it is a place where you can find, rather than have to go yellow pages and search, it's an easy place to find somebody to help you out. So that will cover. Appreciate you watching. Doesn't look like we're getting any calls, and I don't think that I have any emails. I'm going to check that last. You can send legal queries to rob@asklawyers.com is the easy way to do it if you want to talk to a California lawyer directly. But like I said, I do primarily personal injury, do some music law, do business law, contracts, things like that. I do not see any questions from anyone out here, so thank you for watching. Again, I'm Rob Reed, an attorney in California, and I run the Asklawyers.com website. Glad that you joined us. Stay tuned on this channel, subscribe for future shows, and keep your questions coming. God bless. Talk to you later. Goodbye.